Greetings, brave adventurers, and welcome back to The Keep. I am Lindsey the Keeper, and today we are taking a dive from cringy horror stories to randomness of TTRPG, where we just have fun and take a step away from the cringe, even for just a moment. So I have some good news and bad news about this type of video. The bad news is, I lost my list. During one of my moves, I lost my notes on who my next set of characters are, which means I have to at least start over. But that is where the good news is. Instead of picking random characters and going from there, I decided I shall do these characters but based on the movie they came from. Which means I am talking about the main protagonist, the main antagonist, and all the side characters in between. Plus, it's my birthday, so I wanted to make this video as a gift for you guys, along with the shorts I made today. So today, we will start this off with one of my least favorite Disney princess movies, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now sit back, relax, and cuddle up to your favorite tendril as we get to place these characters into D&D roles. Enjoy! Before I go any further, I want to place my standards here and now. I am mainly going to be talking about the Walt Disney animation movie of Snow White. Not the live action or the variation of Snow White, since there is more than just one Snow White movie. Every media has a different version of who Snow White is, and I am just sticking with the sort of OG Snow White. Although the OG Snow White is written by the Brother Grimm stories. And this will go for all and future videos on Disney meets D&D. Now back to Snow White. The story of Snow White is pretty basic. Snow White is a pretty lady who has an evil queen as a stepmother. Evil queen asked a magic mirror who is the hottest bitch in all the lands, which was always her, until the mirror answered that it was Snow White. Not wanting to be upstaged by her stepdaughter, she hired the huntsman to kill her daughter and only asked to bring back her stepdaughter's heart as proof. But the huntsman couldn't do it and told her to run. Eventually, she found the cottage and made herself at home. Unbeknownst to her, the cottage was owned by 7 dwarves who were working at the mines during the daytime and returned home at night. When they reached home, they realized that someone has entered their home and they met Snow White. She tells them what happened, and they agree to let her stay there so long as she cleans the house and feeds them. And it goes fine for a while, but eventually the evil queen finds out she's been played and decides to take matters into her own hands by turning herself into an old woman and making a poison apple. She then goes to Snow White and offers an apple to her. Snow White, who has no understanding of stranger danger, accepts the apples and dies. Of course, the old woman, aka the evil queen, also dies due to a boulder malfunction. When the dwarves find Snow White dead, instead of burying her, they made a glass coffin to let her rest in. Eventually, the nameless prince comes back into the story, kisses Snow White, she wakes up, and everyone lives happily ever after. More or less. Now, I will admit that I was never a big fan of the movie because it was just boring. I understand during the timeline when this movie came out, it was different, but to me, it was boring. The other variations of Snow White were way more exciting than this Snow White, and this is just my personal opinion. Now that I got that out of the way, let's place these characters in D&D class roles.
Wanna know a secret? Promise not to tell?
So our main protagonist is Snow White. Let's admit it, unlike the live action movie, Snow White and the Huntsman, or Snow White in the TV show Once Upon a Time, or even the other variations of Snow White, this Snow White is unremarkable. She cooks, cleans, sings, and that is all that most people sort of remember her by. Now, I understand that the immediate thought is just to place Snow White as a bard because she sings, but that would be too easy. Plus, about 90% of the people on the list sings, so that's not helpful. But there is something that she does more often than the other stuff I mentioned, and that is she has animal companions. Now, admittedly, this is also a stretch because most Disney princesses that we know also have animal companions. But the difference between Snow White and the rest is how they use their animal companions. While the other animal companions help the lady leads because they feel grateful to her, Snow White just sings a song and they immediately assist Snow White, even help her clean the cottage. Which is bullshit because when I tried to sing, no animals came to me. Like, what the hell? With that in mind, Snow White is a druid. More specifically, the Circle of the Shepherd.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
So our antagonist is Queen Grimhild, aka the Evil Queen. She has been the first stepping stone of how Disney villains will present themselves for future films. She was a beautiful woman who ended up marrying the king, aka Snow White's father. But she brought in a magic mirror, a laboratory, and even a spell book. She fits perfectly to be a wizard, more specifically, the School of Transmutation. The main reason for this decision is because of the scene when she learned that the huntsman failed his job. The evil queen got so pissed, she took things into her own hands, pulled a magic book, and made both a potion to change her appearance into a hag and a poison apple without missing a f***ing beat. If this woman doesn't scream wizard, I don't know what class would suit her.
Hi-ho! Hi-ho!
We are now heading towards the side characters of the movie. Although each dwarf does have their own personality, I am lumping them into one group because, well, it just saves me the headache. Anyways, we meet the dwarves after Snow White finishes cleaning their home with them mining in the mine looking for gems. They work from sunrise to sunset. When they return home, they notice the immediate change and found an intruder sleeping in their bed. After listening to Snow White's story, they agreed to protect her as long as she did the house cleaning and cooking. Now, given how dedicated they are to the task and how protective they were to Snow White, I believe they are suited to be paladins. More specifically, Oath of the Ancients. Although this subclass is more specifically for elves, I think this works perfectly for these dwarves as well.
Take her far into the forest. Find some secluded glade where she can pick wildflowers.
Yes, Your Majesty.
The next side character is the Huntsman. The main reason why I put him above the prince is because 1, he had more screen time than the prince did, and 2, he had more personality than the prince. Anyway, the huntsman is introduced when the evil queen hired him to kill Snow White and bring back evidence that he did the job, which he almost did complete, but he changed his mind and had her escape from certain death. Then he used live prey to trick the queen into doing the deed. Even though he appeared for a small period of time, he showed more character than the prince did. Therefore, I will state that the huntsman is a ranger with the hunter subclass. Cause, you know, he's literally called the huntsman.
Good day.
Oh,
Hello.
Last, but certainly not least, the prince. The prince only appeared at the beginning of the film to sing a song with Snow White, and at the end of the film when he wakes up Snow White with true love's kiss. But other than those 2 scenes, there is nothing that shows who he really is or what he does, other than that he's a handsome prince. With that in mind, the prince is an NPC. And that is all the characters from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was kind of nice going down memory lane to a movie that I watch occasionally. If you agree or disagree with my choices, please let me know down in the comments below. Now, what is the next film that I will place their characters in? Oh, Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to give me more support, you can follow me on my socials through my Linktree, and if you have stories you want me to read, please post them on my subreddit or email it to me. Until then, may you find your worth in the waking world.